Thank you very much for being at the scene. First, bring us up to speed. What exactly happened there? And what do you know so far about the collapse of this school building?
We're right here in front of the school that came down yesterday. I think it's a four-story, well, it used to be a four-story building. We've tried to speak to eyewitnesses who are residents of this vicinity. For some reason, nobody seems to want to speak to us on camera. But information I got from a gentleman by name Andy, he said what we saw in the video is pretty much what happened. Basically, they just began to hear noises rumbling from these premises that you see behind me, and then before you know it, the entire building came crashing down, and all that is left is just the rubble of what was standing there earlier. However, I tried to inquire from them if, in the course of the years, if they have heard anything about issues that the building may have had. And interestingly, the building got a vote of confidence from the people we spoke to. They said it's a building that has been here for several years. Somebody said over 20 years, yet to confirm that, stating that the building is an old building, suggesting that it was solidly built by the owners or the owner of the building. Also suggested that the building was built with solid materials, claiming that for those who grew up here, they actually used to sit around the building, at evening times. But one thing they could claim, or one thing that he could verify, was when they began to hear the noises, they know that the children, like we saw in some of the videos, were, escorted out of the premises, the children, the students, and the staff of the school. So the good thing is that there were no casualties. However, the entire structure, as you can see, has come crashing down and has been, reduced to rubble. For now, the building has been cordoned off by Lagos State Building Control Agency, so we do not have access into the premises to see what has become of this building that came crashing down yesterday. The most we can see from outside here is the broken roofs of whatever structure is attached or was attached to the fence. We could also see cracks on the fence, I want to believe, from the impact of the collapse of this particular school. But until we gain access into the premises, which, as I mentioned, has been cordoned off by the Lagos State Building Control Agency, we can't exactly determine what it looks like on the inside or possibly suggest what may have happened. But again, we are grateful that no life was lost and there was no casualty from this collapse yesterday.
Okay, Ben, I want to go back to something that you mentioned, people talking about how long the building has been in the area and it's supposedly being made of solid material. So let's dig into that a little bit more. Were there any warning signs? Again, it's difficult now, as you said, that people have refused to talk to you, but were there any warning signs before the building collapsed? And in terms of those eyewitnesses who are not speaking, or even the one that you have spoken to, what was the warning sign really for the students and the staff? Was it just the rumbling and the crumbling and the falling of stones right before the building started coming down?
Tolu, so these were some of the questions that I asked. I honestly don't know why the people are refusing to speak at the moment. I'm still trying to quiz certain people around. I equally asked if there were warning signs. Have there been issues of the building leaning to one side, or cracks appearing on the wall, or signs of maybe parts of the roof or the ceiling caving in, kind of signs that you get to see when a building is distressed. I have not been able to get any response from any of them just yet. Officials of Lagos State Building Control Agency are not on ground yet, to give me whatever information that they have just yet. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get that. These questions you asked, very valid, are the same questions that I'm asking and trying to inquire about, because most times these are the things you get to see to warn. But I would want to believe that certainly there was something that they saw or they heard that made the staff, to lead the students out of the premises to avert any such, tragedy like what we saw yesterday. And thank God that happened. So as it is now, there are more questions than answers. Until we can have certain people, eyewitnesses, maybe staff of the school, speak to us on or off camera, we can't exactly determine much, unfortunately, at the moment.
All right, let's hope we can find an answer among the questions, like you said, more questions than answers. Let's hope we can find an answer to this particular one. So this building, we know, housed nursery and secondary school students. Ben, do we have an idea roughly how many students and staff members were inside at the time, and how were they able to evacuate so quickly?
So again, unfortunately, the information we have is very little. It's still, I'll say, well, very little. But I've been able to, to ascertain two things. There is a gate here to my right. The gate, of course, was used for entry and exit. And then on the other side, there's another gate on the other side of the building, which later we'll get clips of and have you see if possible. We do not have the numbers, the exact number of how many students were in the school at the time, or how many students, are registered in this school at the moment. But I was able to confirm from the people I spoke to that the students were ushered out of the school through this gate that you now see being locked, and another gate on the other side, in an orderly fashion, as I was made to understand as well. The number of staff as well, teachers, whether academic or non-academic staff, we haven't been able to confirm that number either. We still will be asking our questions, finding out from eyewitnesses and residents in the area, whatever more we can find. But the only thing I'm able to get, or I was able to get for now, is that, like you already know, there were no casualties. The students were ushered out from these two gates before, the tragedy occurred. So again, I want to believe that there had to be some signs, either that they saw or that they heard, which made them believe that, there probably was disaster looming.
Do we have an idea of the level of damage to property that this has actually done? Because I'm actually seeing cars in the video, a lineup of cars, and we don't know what else, was in the building or beside the building before it collapsed.
Yes, and any impact to neighboring buildings as well. Yes.
Okay, so I'll step out of the way so you can have a good... The closest building to this school is this two-story building here. We're not sure if there was any, heavy impact to the building. But of course, from experience, we do know that eventually officials of Lagos State Building Control Agency, when they do come back, if they do come back, eventually they will test the integrity of the building standing beside it. You probably can see now we have officials of the Lagos State Police Command who are now on the ground equally to assess the situation. And I want to believe to ensure that we don't have scavengers picking up things from the rubble of this building. I've also seen some police officers stepping out of the adjoining building or the building beside the school. So again, there will be integrity tests, as it's always done, on that building that is closest, or the buildings closest to this collapsed school building. That's one. Two, from our observation, we can see the fence of the building. We can see cracks, really serious, obvious, heavy cracks on the fence. And then we equally can see that there's some roofing material from whatever was standing on this side initially that obviously has been destroyed due to the impact of that building that came crashing down yesterday afternoon. However, until we gain full access into the premises, we can't exactly determine what is left standing or what the scene looks like. We definitely are hoping that at some point in time, the agencies or the authorities would grant us access into the premises so we can determine, the extent and the level of damage. But until then, this is the most that we can see.
All right, thank you very much, Ben Akede, for bringing us this very, very important update. Thank you.